Why?
Why is our hospital project important?
The way we define service learning is that service learning is a method of teaching and a way of learning. So we look for an identified need that's really authentic, that kids can agree on. We design a service around it, and then we find ways to tie it to the curriculum, because the business of schools is really about delivering curriculum.
Also, you need to have projects that involve students in cooperative effort, where they are working together as a team, preparing them for later in life. Now, in this particular case, it's a kindergarten project, but you're never too young to participate in the team approach, focusing on what are they going to get out of it from the curriculum standpoint, the involvement of students in their community. Together, they can do this kind of a project.
It started out in my mind to be a much smaller project than what it ended up. But things have a way of snowballing, and you mean to do one thing and it turns into a lot of other things. And but I saw how the kids just loved it and everything about it, and it meant a lot to them, and so I really enjoyed doing it more than I really had thought at the beginning.
I received a call from a kindergarten teacher, Roberta Sullivan, asking if there were any special things that I could think we needed for children in the emergency department. She was working with her class and wanted to do something special for kids that are sick. And so Roberta and I did begin talking about it and created what you have here. The story that she told me is that she talked with kids about how did they feel about the hospital, and they shared stories about how scary it is, and when you're sick, how you are afraid of the doctors, you're afraid of the nurses, you're afraid of the place that you go, so that they started coming up with what are the things that would make you less afraid.
Our project went from November to June. We finished up in June, so it was really a year long. And of course it took a lot of effort and energy on our parts, but there's so much more to be gained from that, and it excites you. It, keeps you invigorated, seeing what happens with the kids and how excited they are about it, and you know that they're getting a lot from it.
One of the most delightful days of my career, I have to say, is the day that that entire class came and hung these pictures on the wall. Here were these proud children that really knew they were making a difference. The hospital administrator talked to them about how important this was and that they had helped kids for years and years to come by the work that they did.
It is kids in action working with the real world, and it tends to look messy, but the academics that can be involved in it are really, really strong and valid. And much of the learning takes place in reflection, and that's something that we're still learning about, the value of reflection. Not only in the classroom, but for teachers and for students, pre-reflection, post-reflection. What did you do? What did you hear? What did you smell? What did you feel? What did you learn?
And as far as fitting into the curriculum, I've always felt if I were going to do math one day, I do a math lesson that has to do with this project, measuring the room and then collecting the money and sorting it out and finding how much we spent and how much left we had to spend. And the art, we did tons of artwork. You're doing writing, say, instead of about what's their favorite food or what are the fall leaves doing outside, we would do it about this project. So I think you can work everything in and not be leaving anything out. I never feel compromised in that way. I feel that you can do everything. In fact, I remember Kathy, the other teacher in the room, and I, laughing last year, said the only thing we didn't do was music, and we can sing on the bus on the way to the hospital. So we feel that we have covered everything, but given them more than that, because it's not just isolated material. It relates to real life problems, something a community really needed, and it was great to be able to do something about it.
The payoff comes in that these students are the young adults of this community. I anticipate them being the active parents and community leaders of our city in the future.
I guess the best story would be an elderly patient that I do remember being in this room, who was in pain, who we were having trouble controlling her pain. And she looked up, and suddenly the expression on her face changed. And I started to tell her the story of the 5-year-old children that put this room together and why they did it. And she smiled and said, "They did it for me too."